Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day curd nerds and welcome to Ask the Cheeseman. This is episode 235. I hope I got that right. Yeah, 235. There we go. And hopefully you're here to ask questions about home cheese making, because that's what I can answer. Oh, plus a few other things, I suppose. Welcome to all the new financial members this week, both on YouTube memberships and on Patreon. And we can see that the list is growing, which is absolutely fantastic. Thank you to the 5 most recent YouTube members: Cheryl, Vincent, Chris, Mr. Sword Steel, and Mochi Bun. And of course, let's not forget our patrons over on Patreon. Recent additions there is Robin and Robert. Thank you one and all for your financial support of the show. Without it, we wouldn't have a twice weekly show now, which is absolutely fantastic, on Wednesday evenings my time and Sunday morning. Okay, so videos that have been released this week. You would have seen smoked paprika kafili, which was my latest cheesy creation. And I'll tell you what, I had some last night for supper. We had a friend over for drinks, and he absolutely loved it. So I'm happy for that, that somebody else likes my cheese other than just me. So that's always good fun. And then also I released a video that I put together called Gavin Reacts to Your Cheese. And what it is, it's reuse of content, but I think it's pretty good reuse, because a lot of people don't watch live, of course, and you know, that's their prerogative. Getting up early in the morning like I do to make cheese is not an easy to make cheese, and to watch cheese making videos is not everybody's cup of tea. But so what I did, I took the gallery segment of the last of about 3 episodes of Ask the Cheeseman, the live show, because I've got all the recordings, and I basically cut them together and made sure that there was some continuity there, and I called it Gavin Reacts to Your Cheese. So I think that was quite good, so hopefully everybody liked that, and it's getting some views now, which is good. And I threw in a short there as well around the official cheese taste testers. Quite a while ago, I did an eat 'em video early on in my YouTube career, and we had Holly and Teddy, our dogs, that have since passed away. And I was actually having a moment with Bonnie and Hamish, our 2 new Westies, and looked over to where I filmed that cheese video and remembered Holly and Teddy, so I thought I'd put the short up. Anyway, it was good. So let's say g'day to a few people, of course. First person we're going to say g'day to is Bill. Thank you, Bill, for turning up really early this morning and keeping me company while I was setting up the studio. G'day to Gary T. Who else we got? Shauna, she was an early bird as well. Croesus of Borg, the Borg here. Well, resistance is futile for the cheese, so yeah, I can see why you are. G'day to Michael and Jenny. G'day to Cease. Soggy morning, indeed it is. It's soggy here as well. Oh, it's bloody terrible weather. One moment it's nice and warm and a nice autumn day, and then the next day it's raining and cold. So what can you do? Who else we got there? Patty and Donna and Tracy. Hello to you all. Tiny Town Trains. That's a mouthful. Well, thank you so much for turning up. Comrade Catastrophe, how are you? Jan, Licky, Jean, Tic-Tac-Toe, good morning. Patricia, can't stay for the entire chat, off to see a comedy show tonight. Well, enjoy. I hope it's cheesy comedy. Emily, hello Emily, how are you? You're up early too. Who else we got? Jim, hello Jim, lovely to see you. And Titus, Licky's from where? Serbia. Oh, hello, how are you? I was going to say Siberia then, but that's not right. Annoying fan, hello, how are you? You're not annoying. Okay. Tracy just gave me some feedback. Says, love Gavin reacts. It was quite... Well, it was the thumbnail was the best thing to do. I love those kind of thumbnails for those sort of videos. But yeah, there's some new features in the latest Photoshop where it makes it so easy to make thumbnails like that. It used to take me hours, and it took me about 5 minutes. It was fantastic. So that for that video. So yeah, very cool. Okay. First question. Oh, Jean's got a statement there. Hello from Victor Harbour, South Australia. I've been there. It's a lovely little town. Up early today to make an Italian hard cheese. Enjoy, Jean. Emily says, hi Gavin, can we freeze milk for use in cheese making? I have in the past, Emily, and it turned out all right. So I have frozen cow's milk and I've frozen sheep's milk, and I've made cheese within a couple of weeks, and that worked fine. So if you're milking an animal and you're getting like if you're like a smaller animal like a goat, and you're only getting a couple of litres a day, you can freeze those batches and combine them all together. So it should be fine. So I hope that helps. Comrade Catastrophe says, how do I submit an image for the gallery? Good question. Wait until the gallery at 30 minutes past the hour, and at the end of that session I will show you how to submit to the gallery. And Jim has just sent me a super chat. Thank you, Jim. I think you just wanted to see the light off. $1 US. Thank you so much. Let me just turn that off before I have an aneurysm. There we go. Very cool. What's the next question? Yeah. Bill says it's 4 in the afternoon, so not really early for you. That's fine. And Annoying Fan says, so jealous. We have been in a major drought this year. I didn't even try milking my goats because I didn't want to put more stress on them. Heidi. Thank you, Heidi. And sorry about your major drought. Hope you get a bit of rain. Alan says, in Brazil, good night. G'day, Alan. How are you? Lovely to see you. And Joker Les, I think that's how you say it, finally managed to catch a live stream. Greetings from the soon-to-be snowed on Manitoba, Canada. Yes, a bit early for snow, but yeah, you'll have a snowy Halloween. Very cool. Patricia says, I really enjoyed Gavin Reacts as well. Nice surprise. Compiling the galleries into one resource is brilliant. Thanks, Patricia. I'll take that feedback and Tracy's as confirmation that it was okay. So I noticed I put it was called episode 1, so I will be making some more. I think they're good fun. So a little bit of an intro, a bit of an outro, some decent editing in the middle of those sessions, because I think they need to be showcased. People love that sort of thing. And people like, seeing their own creations on, a popular sort of show, I suppose. So thanks, Patricia. Emily says, if the cheese is store-bought, would freezing be an issue? Look, I've frozen bags of, that shredded cheese, the stuff they call tasty cheddar, which I don't know what it is, but it's a cheese nonetheless. And that seems to freeze okay. Shredded mozzarella, I've frozen that. But it does change the texture of the cheese. If you freeze like I I wouldn't freeze a mold ripened. I wouldn't any like white mold or blue mold cheese. I wouldn't freeze any of those whatsoever because it'd break down the structure and it wouldn't be nice, soft, and creamy anymore as the water freezes into ice crystals when they turn back. It changes the texture of the cheese, so I wouldn't do that. But yeah, cheddar style cheeses are okay. I've had Parmesan, grated Parmesan in the freezer, no problems at all. So there we go. Oh, you've changed your mind. Sorry, I meant store-bought milk. Store-bought milk? Yeah, like I've only ever frozen raw milk, so I've never frozen store-bought milk. But if you've accidentally done it, I don't think there'd be any problem. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. You could do it, I suppose, if you want to keep it longer. Titus says, Gavin, is it possible to have one or two preferred cheeses of all of them? Of course it is. If you like a couple of types of cheese, you're perfectly fine to like only one or two of them. I love them all. Except for processed cheese, which is not really cheese. So, yeah. Anyway, Licky says, can I vacuum seal my raclette at the end of maturing and washing, or put it in the freezer? Afraid that he matures too much. Oh, it's got a gender. Yes, you can. You can put your raclette into vacuum packing after it's been matured, and it's got that lovely red smear on it, and the rind is dried out, which is good. Then, yeah, you can vacuum pack it and store it in the kitchen fridge. If you store it back in your cheese cave again, it's going to keep maturing. So if you reckon that the flavour is spot on, then you can keep it in the fridge. Okay, so I hope that helps. Comrade Catastrophe said, I just got my first cheddar vac packed and in the cave. Unfortunately, my wine fridge won't keep temperature and varies between 49 and 57 Fahrenheit. So I have to call the manufacturer to troubleshoot. 49. Hey Siri, convert 49 Fahrenheit to Celsius. Oh, she's about as slow as a wet week today. Convert 49 Fahrenheit to Celsius. 9.4. So 9.4 to about, 14 degrees Celsius. Look, that range is okay. It's not that bad. So mine fluctuates between 11 and 13 Celsius, which is 50 to 55 Fahrenheit, roughly, I think. And my cheese does all right, so it's not that bad. Yeah, so, I wouldn't worry about it too much. However, if you can get an external thermostat, you'll see that it probably works a lot better. Patty says, how did you begin cheese making? My interest began when I learned of Kasumazu. Well, that's quite unique, Patty, to be spurred on to make cheese that when you saw one that had maggots in it. I'm gobsmacked. I don't know what to say. How did I begin cheese making? There's a whole story to it, actually. And if you go and have a read of the ebook that's pinned in the chat, then yeah, the first chapter is actually why I started making cheese. So, long story short, I grew up on a dairy farm. We never made cheese. I went to a friend's place, tasted real cheese, as in feta, for the first time, because he was of Greek descent, and his parents made their own feta, which was great. Basically, I was doing a 100-mile food challenge, trying to get food from within 100 miles of us that was manufactured and grown there. And there were no cheesemakers at that time. So I decided to start making my own cheese, went and did a cheese making course in our local community centre, and the rest is history. The rest is on the YouTube channel. So that's how it happened, Paddy. Okay. Jokerless says, thanks, we're about 50-50 over the last 40 years for Halloweens with and without snow. So it's not too early for snow up here. Oh, there you go. Fair enough. Okay. Jim says, I too have been enjoying the Gavin Reacts video idea. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. One question to everybody in the chat who's watching. Was it too long? That's kind of what I know. 40 minutes was a long video. Maybe I'll just cut them, make sure they're down to about 30. So let me know if it was too long in your opinion, and I'm welcoming opinion at the moment. But let me know if you've watched that video. Jim says no. Okay, wasn't too long. That's okay. Thank you, mate. Okay, well, we'll continue on. Relax, Sleep, Heal says, thanks for your knowledge and thanks for sharing it with us. You are fantastic. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Vidic, I think that's how you say it. Have you ever made hoop cheese? I've been looking for a recipe. Hoop cheese is a raw milk cheese made in the south of the United States. It's a very fresh sort of cheese. And it depends on the raw milk that you use. Now, because I can't get my hands on raw milk, it probably wouldn't taste anything like hoop cheese. I did have a recipe years ago, but I don't know where it is. And it's not officially in any cheese making books that I've seen. So, very hard to get your hands on a recipe for hoop cheese. But I know what it is. I've been told what it is from people from the south. And what it kind of tastes like. It was very hard to describe for them. But, yeah, no big deal. Patricia says, the video was long, but YouTube vids are never too long. Thanks, Patricia. Mr. Sword still says, oops, if I can get it, says no, it wasn't too long, so that's good. Emily says, I think I watched about half. Thank you, Emily, for letting me know. Shauna says, not too long, certainly kept the interest. Thank you, Shauna. And Patricia says, you can speed them up or jump through them as you like. That's right. I forgot about the speed increase feature in YouTube if you want to. I sound a bit like a chipmunk, though, if you go too fast. John says it was fine. And Jean says, love the Gavin Reacts, not too long. Jim says, I run through them at 2 times speed, so it was only about 20 minutes. Okay, thanks. Yep, that's great. Thank you, Jim. Bill says, can you make vegan cheese? I can, but I've only ever made one that works successfully, and I've put it up on the channel, and that was the, what did I call it? Vegan cream cheese or something. I've just seen Patricia's comment, you cheeky person. Chief Curd Chipmunk. Oh, stop it. Stop it. Patricia says, by saying off the top which episodes were covered, it gave a bit of an idea what the content would be and how long, etc. Yeah, I put that information in the description. I didn't put it up front in the video, but that is a good idea. But anyway, cool. Is that Amber? No. Somebody from Wales. Hello, how are you? I can't read. I can't read Welsh. Bill says, have not seen the Reacts video, but always enjoy a full hour of you, so no problems. Thank you, Bill. I might have a captive audience though, because everybody who's watching live are usually known as super fans, if that makes sense. So consider yourself a super fan if you're watching this live. So yeah, so by asking you the question in the chat, maybe it's a little bit biased because I know you're going to watch it anyway if you're going to watch me for an hour. So I don't know. Anyway, but I'm going to continue to make them and put them up in between, YouTube Shorts, which I'm enjoying making, and the long, obviously the normal long form video content. So the cheese making videos and the taste test that normally on the channel. But I wanted to start mixing it up and putting some other stuff out there because the young'uns seem to like the shorts. That very first short that I made, the bad mould one, I don't know if anybody's seen it, but that got over 10,000 views already, so I'm quite happy with that. 10,000 views for a channel that's got, what, 304,000 subscribers isn't too bad. It could be higher, but for a short, I think that's pretty good. Anyway, Jim says it don't sound like a chipmunk. YouTube compensates for the speed change. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, I know when I'm playing it back in my video software at that speed, when I do the final check, it does sound a bit funny, so I was only going from that experience. Leaky says, we're going to buy a dairy animal. I would prefer a cow, but my husband wants 2 goats. Goats is more economical, but I can make all the cheeses... but can I make all the cheeses with goat's milk? I'm afraid the taste is too strong. Yeah, it is a matter of taste. Of course, a cow is a lot bigger, of course, as well, and goats do take up less room. Tracy from cheeseneeds.com is in the chat, and she has goats. And actually, she sent in a picture this week during the gallery, so in 8 minutes' time. She made a cloth-banded goat's milk cheddar, and she does a lot of cheese with goat's milk as well. And there's another lady that who's a fan of the show and has been on the channel before, Jennifer Murch, and she has a cow. She got 2 cows. And she gets swags and swags, which means lots in Australian, of cow's milk, and she makes massive cheeses every week. So, look, it's your choice. Your choice on which flavour of milk you want. You could get a cow and 2 cheeses. Oh, sorry, a cow and 2 cheeses. A cow and 2 goats. 2 cheeses. I'm a sausage. Cheddar was made last January, has a slightly metallic taste. What have I done wrong? Other than that, it's very edible. Metallic taste in cheese. I haven't come across it personally in any of my cheeses. I have. I'm just trying to think back to reference material. It can be a sign that there's not enough salt in the initial cheese as well, because it's a remnant of the peptides that have broken down from the proteins that have lingered too long because there hasn't been enough salt to inhibit their growth. So what you could do, and it would get rid of the metallic taste, is to cook with it, and that works. I know that for a fact. So you can cook with the cheese and you won't have any issues. As soon as it melts, that metallic taste goes away. So hopefully that helps. Croesus says, no cheese taste is too strong. The stronger the better. Look, I probably would agree with that statement. I like them mild. I like them strong. And it depends on the cheese, of course. You know, that is just people's personal preference. But I kind of agree with that. I like it. Well, you know me. I like all the cheeses. Jim says, I do not like the shorts. That's fine. Thanks, Jim. I actually didn't like them either until I made one, if that makes sense, because I couldn't understand what the kids were on about. You know, I'm an older sort of guy, older sort of generation, and I couldn't figure out what you get out of a 60-second video. However, once I actually saw some decent 60-second short videos. This lady in Australia, and I can't remember what her name is. Miriam is her name, and she makes sourdough short videos, which are fantastic. Really good production. So that's why I decided to put some of those, you know, myth-busting sort of shorts together up front, and then that meme one that just come into my head, and I thought, because I was watching a video on YouTube that says I was a meme, and I remember, hang on, I think I was too. So I did that, and I thought, well, they didn't show any of the consequences of what happened when they were a meme. I thought I'd share with everybody what happened when I was. So there you go. Bill says, a bit of trivia. What is a cheese lover called? The official word for somebody who loves cheese is a cheerophile. Of course it is. And thanks for sharing that with everybody, Bill. Comrade Catastrophe says, YouTube Shorts are very good for catching the algorithm, growing viewer base. Definitely worth investing time in. I actually saw some information from YouTube, Comrade Catastrophe, and that's exactly what is happening. So views are certainly up on all of my main videos as well since I started producing the shorts. But I think the momentum that you have to keep going is like two to three a week, and I really don't have the time when I'm running the shop, and sending out parcels, 3-4 days a week. Then it is difficult. So, find the time to make that sort of short form video. Even though the video is only 60 seconds, that bad mold cheese and good mold cheese, and the I was a meme short, took me over 4 hours each to make. So, you got to put the captions in, you got to refine it, you got to find the footage, find some stock footage if you need to. Then what can you do? Anyway, very cool. Patricia says you got to go. See you later. Thank you for watching, Patricia, as always, and thanks for financially supporting the show. Also, if there was a chipmunk cheese maker, it would be as squeaky as the cheese. Would it be as squeaky as the cheese it makes? Almost. Yeah, that's cool. Titus says goats are curious and cute. Yes, I must admit. Kids are the funniest though. So they just jump over everything. They're hilarious. I love watching goat videos. Some people like cat videos. I like goat videos. Anyway. Cool Cat says, greetings, Gavin, le home de fromage. Hello, curd nerds, to everybody. I'll wave for you. There you go. That was my wave. Tic Tac Toe says, perhaps except for the triple chili cheese that you did a few years ago. Look, that was... Yeah, if you look at the taste test video, yeah, it was hot. It was a hot cheese, as in spicy. I wish that taste test video for that triple pepper jack was better quality. That'd make a perfect short, especially with the fire extinguisher I got my son to bring in. That was so funny. Anyway, Titus says, I love sourdough. Made the bread before. I love sourdough as well. I just don't have the patience to curate the starter. Mind you, I make cheese, so I do have patience, maybe. But yeah, anyway. Tiny Town Trains TV says, question, it seems even higher caliber ballot... Oh, hang on. It seems even higher caliber store-bought blue cheese is often rather crumbly, but you often say creaminess is the desirable outcome. Are there fine cheeses that are supposed to be crumbly? So crumbly cheese is an indication that the acidity of the curds, of the cheese, is very low. So has high acidity, low on the pH scale is what I mean. The more crumbly it is, the more acidic the cheese is. You will find that the blue cheeses that have only matured... Oh, that's the gallery. A bit noisy today, Siri. I'll get to that in a second. I'll just finish this. It says that the shorter the maturation period for a blue cheese, the creamier it is, and obviously the fat content has something to do with it as well. You'll see a lot of the blue cheeses that are creamy will have a higher fat content than those that are crumbly. But the crumbliness is determined by the acidity of the cheese. So, look, I do like either. So a nice crumbly Stilton if you can get it, or a nice creamy buttermilk blue. I like them all. The blue flavour is just great. Okay, it is time, curd nerds, for the gallery. So let me see if I can get that right without... Oh, all right, here we go. And where's the notes? Who's first? think. This one, we'll see. Rightio, so where's the screen, Gav? Saw yourself out, wake up yourself. Right, there we go. There we go. So there is the gallery. So the first cheese today is my cheese. So this is a different view than you probably have seen of the smoky paprika kefili. You can see that the kefili has a lot of mechanical holes, like, you know, here and here and here. This is a good sign that it hasn't been pressed too much. Now, kefili is it's got a nice robust flavour, and like I said, it's only three weeks old. This is a cheese that you will get with flavour at 3 weeks old if you follow my recipe. The smoky paprika was a great bonus, and the colour is just stunning. So that was a bonus. You get a slight flavour of that in the rind, but overall it doesn't taste like a goulash, for instance, that has been cooked with smoky paprika. Smoky paprika, the flavours really come out if you heat them up. Now, I didn't heat them up. Heat up the powder before I rubbed it onto the cheese. But it smelt smoky enough, and look, I took most of the rub off because I wanted the rind to be that colour. But that's what it is, and it's worth making, so go and check that video out. Anyway, the next contribution is from Ruth. And this is Ruth's yearly Halloween cheese. She calls it candy corn. And it's her cheddar layered with saffron infused something. So it's, can I see the saffron? Yeah, little bits of it. Just hang on, let me just get it closer. Ah, there you go. So you can see the red spots. Yeah, there we go. There's some bits there, some bits there, some bits there. Where else? Some over here. But the saffron certainly lends itself to quite a unique cheese. So thank you, Ruth, for sending that in. And it's a massive cheese. By the looks of it, it's it'll be at least 3 kilos plus, because I know you've got that really big mold. So thank you so much for sending that in, Ruth. I haven't seen you in the chat today, but I hope you catch this in the archive version of the stream. So the next cheese is from Scott, and Scott's got a spiel here before we start. It says, "Hi Gavin, this is Scott from Pennsylvania, USA. You have been inspirational, entertaining, and super informative. In March 2020, everything was shut down, and our friends with a dairy herd could not send extra calves to auction. They put them on Facebook for $20 each, and we decided to take the plunge. 2 years ago, our 80-pound calf now weighs 800 pounds. What's that, about 400 kilos? That's massive. And had her first calf in April. Her name is Cora, short for coronavirus. She is a 40-40 Jersey Holstein cross with 777 milking shorthorn, red, Swedish, and Ayrshire. My goodness, that is a mix. There is a picture of Cora in a second. We found ourselves suddenly inundated with 2.5 gallons of milk every day, and our fridge filled up with white soft creamy cheeses until it was coming out our ears. It was time to make hard cheese, and a YouTube search brought Gavin to the rescue. Last night's cheddar brings me to more than 130 batches of cheese since April. My goodness me. The cheese that's vacuum packed is a manchego recipe using cow's milk. That's a right. So this is right onto the photos. So this is a different chili peppers, and it's even got Szechuan pepper in it as well. I tell you what, a cheese made, there's a great idea. Cheese made with Szechuan pepper would be amazing, because, you know, you get that tongue numb feeling. So, yeah, fantastic looking cheese there, Scott. Right, so these ones says, the next one, the two unwrapped cheeses are kefili and in the foreground, and a cheddar in the background. The cheddar's a little bit more yellow, but that looks fantastic. There's Cora the cow. She looks lovely. I love the bell. Very cool. And then there's the cheese fridge. the cheese, yeah, okay, so that's all the cheeses that you've got in your cheese fridge. Good use of vacuum packing. And I like the extra big, extra large ripening boxes. And you've called it your cheese freezer. So this is a converted freezer with an external thermostat. So well done. It says, thanks again. Your format is brilliant and your talent and way of being ad so much. No, don't understand that. But anyway, keep up the great work. Scott from Village Crest Farm LLC. Okay, and then we got one more mouldy cheese. It says, Gavin, I learned that putting all the mould ripened cheeses in one container to ripen makes them all the same. The taller one was Scram. I don't know what Scram is, unless it's a typo. The flat ones are supposed to be Munster, which are red mould cheeses, and the far right is a Clabber cheese. Okay, I'm not sure I'm brave enough to try any of them at this stage. I bet they've got some odour though too, Scott. So, very cool. Thank you so much for sending those in, Scott. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure everybody else does too. Some great looking cheeses. Now, I don't know if I'd eat them either, but there are, they're mostly introduced moulds that you've introduced to the cheese, so I don't think it'd be that bad. Anyway, moving right along. This one's from Tracy. And do we have a spiel from Tracy? We do. So Tracy says, hi Gavin, busy week again. I'm teaching this Saturday and Sunday, but I explained to my students that I have to pop by and say hello on your live streams. And you have. Thank you so much, Tracy. This week I made a 3 kilogram raw goat milk stirred curd cloth bound cheddar. What a mouthful. Yes. And at least it will be in 6 months when I get to eat it. You make that look a lot easier than it is. It went everywhere. The lard for the cloth bounding, yes, it does. Also, oh, this one's a bit small. Let's make this a bit bigger. Also, a honey rubbed howder, store-bought, pasteurised, homogenised milk. I washed the curds with some honey, melted into the washing water. I added Tech Plus, which is my version of LPRA, which contains rhamnosus and propionic shamani, to avoid any potential issues. Spread the whole thing with sticky honey I bought in England. Brackets, you have Top Gear down there, I assume. Yes, we do, but I don't watch it. This honey is from Jeremy Clarkson's farm. And popped it in the fridge to chill, then into vacuum sealing on the moist setting. I'm trying to emulate Bourton Trott's honey rind howder. I'll let you know how it goes. I haven't heard of that cheese, so... Well, I've heard of howder. But not Bourton Trott's, but it's very interesting. Have a great weekend. Love the new show, Gavin Reacts. Awesome idea. Waves to Kim. Tracy Johnson, mother of cheeses. Thank you, Tracy, for sending those in. That does look interesting, that honey cheese, but my goodness, it'll be sticky as anything. All get out. I'm not sure how they would create a honey rind, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that works out. So it looks really cool. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the last photo in the gallery. So back to me for a second. Now let me show you, because I think somebody asked how to submit your pictures. Let me just go to the channel and make sure that this is big enough so we can see. Right, so on the main channel, well, I've only got one cheese channel, but yeah, on the main channel, you can go to the About tab. So just here, and down here, if you signed in, it says details for business inquiries. Sign in to see email address. That is the email address just there that you can send any of your cheese making pictures to, and that's the inbox that I actively monitor. So make sure that you send them there, not to anywhere else that you find me on the interwebs. This is the email address, that one just there. is the one that you need to send photos. It's obviously not an obligation, but if you've got some lovely photos of your cheese that you're proud of, or you've got something that you want me to have a look at and try and diagnose, diagnosis is much easier with a photo and a description, so please send them in. I love all of the cheese photos, and hey, it's more fodder for Gavin Reacts, so very cool. That's where you send them, and you'll only be able to find that email address in browser base. So on a tablet in a browser, that'll be fine. But if you use the YouTube app on iOS and Android, you can't see that address. So you'll have to use a browser on a laptop or a PC to send them in. Please make sure, can I please request that you name each file? It is very difficult to figure out sometimes what the cheeses are because they've just got that image name. They'll have a number and some random numbers from your camera. So if you can name the files, that's fantastic, or at least say what the cheese is next to the name of the file or something like that. Identify the photo. That will be lovely. It'd take a bit of time away from my busy day and put that together, that segment together, a lot easier. But thanks so much, everybody, for sending those in. Okay, lots of stuff in the chat, and I think I've missed some of it. Yep, something about ripening boxes. I saw that somewhere. Jim says that's why I use ripening boxes. Indeed, I do. I don't know what the question was here. Oh, here it is. Says, how do you keep different cheeses getting contaminated from one type of mold? Yeah, and Jim's rightly said, use airtight containers or ripening boxes. But when you do, make sure that you do turn the cheese at least twice a week, because it needs airflow, it needs oxygen for the molds to grow. If they don't get that oxygen, they die off really quickly and then form a bit of a stinky covering on the cheese, especially with blue cheeses. White mold cheeses, not so much. But they both need oxygen to grow that mold. So make sure that you're turning them regularly. Don't forget them, like I have in the past. Yeah, it's a trick that you've got to look after your cheese during maturation. You can't just make it and then forget it. Even if it's vac packed, I still go and check it. At least once a week, mostly twice a week now, because I'm just, I did lose a cheese not so long ago. It was an Alpine Blossom that I was trying to make. I've had to remake that, and I'm keeping a much better eye on it. It's just not worth the time. You spend like a half a day making a cheese, sometimes a full day, and by neglect, I was ill, so I've got an excuse, but by neglect, yeah, you've wasted, a day's work. So I hate wasting days' works. Titus says, sterile techniques to handle all the cheese types. Indeed, if you go and have a look how I sanitize my equipment, you can check that out, Titus, if you haven't seen it already. Herb says, different cheese caves would be best to keep mouldy and regular cheeses from cross-contamination. Indeed, Herb, I agree, if you've got the room. Now, who was I talking to recently? It was Ruth. So Ruth Cohen out of San Francisco mentioned in the last interview we did on the 12 Hours of Cheese, that mammoth live stream production. She told me that she's got 7 cheese caves now. So I don't know where she stores. I think she must have a spare room in her place, but 7 cheese caves, and she, on a daily basis, this is a daily basis now, she will go and check out all the cheeses, all the ones she's got natural rinds developing or mold ripen. She checks every single day. So it's her therapy, she tells me. So yeah, different cheeses, and she has different types, different fridges for different types. So you'll find that the molds will build up in those fridges, so it'll kind of help the cheeses. So it's like that local terroir. Oh, how do you say it in French? Terroir, the area that the cheese is grown in. So yeah, very interesting. Tracy says that her honey cheese, it says it's very sticky. That was the one that you saw in the gallery, and it says it's vac sealed now. So hopefully that works. Tracy, very interesting. I'd like to see that. So yeah, very cool. Where is it? Licky says, do you have French people in your subscribers? Some. We're either French or French Canadian. So I remember I did an interview with Fred from what's his name? What's his channel's name? Fred from my brain hurts. Which, mind you, I haven't seen a cheese from Fred for a while. So Shays Cheese, I think it's called, or Shays Fromage. I think that's what it is. But yeah, so since we had that interview, I had quite a few French people speaking. Yeah, Fromage Urbain. Yeah, so home French cheesemaker. Thanks, Licky. But yeah, since that interview, yeah, quite a few French people. And the good thing is they do speak English as well. And unfortunately, I don't speak any other language except very poor Australian. So yeah, and it's been a lot of people on there. So there, that's answered your question. Next question is from Chris. Says, hi Gavin, can all cheese for the most part be waxed? Like what would happen if you waxed a Munster or a Camembert? I ask because there is a washed rind cheese from Ireland called Gubeen, or Gubeen, which is waxed. Very interesting because, and funny you should say that, the very first Tellagio, I got a piece of Tellagio here in Australia, which is very unusual, and I think that's the only way they could import it into the country, was it was waxed, and that's a washed rind cheese as well. However, it tasted horrible. It had been in that wax for I don't know how long. I don't think it's the best way to store or transport washed rind cheeses. And to answer you, no, I don't think all cheeses can be waxed. Certainly mould ripened ones shouldn't be. Whether they be washed rind, so with the Brevibacteria linens, and you get that orange smear or red smear on the outside. I would not wax any of those mould ripened cheeses, or the softer ones are fine. That's packing issues. But yeah, no, don't any of the mould ripened ones. All the mould ripened ones need oxygen to grow and to ripen your cheese. So don't wax them. Okay, Patty says, what Hungarian cheeses do you know of? I've found so far is quark and fresh cheeses, but I'm looking for aged cheeses that are Magyar. Is that in Bulgaria? Oh, that's in Hungary. Sorry, my bad. I should have read the question. No, I don't know of any others. Quark is kind of native to quite a bit of Europe. Not so much Hungary specific, because I know it's well used in Germany as well. It's a fan favourite there. They eat it for breakfast, dinner, afternoon tea, you name it, it's there. But no, I haven't found any Hungarian specific cheeses per se. So no, I can't think of any, Patty. Sorry. Licky says, I've never seen a goat Gruyere, for example. Do your recipes change if I use goat's milk? Yeah, you'll use a little bit. Hang on, there's a. Oh, where is it? I keep forgetting. Let me just consult a good book. Types of milk. Right, here we are. Where is the goat section? Right, substituting in milk in recipes. So this is from Deborah Amron Boy's 200 Easy Homemade Cheese Recipes. This is the second edition. There's the third edition now, which we have in the shop as well, at Little Green Workshops. I might as well show the thing here. Little Green Workshops. Hang on, this is not working. Why is it not working? Because I've got a question up there. littlegreenworkshops.com.au. You can pick this book up. Looks different now. They got a different cover. But yeah, so this is an excerpt from that. It says, goat's milk has a lower pH, that is, it is more acidic than cow's milk. You will need to reduce the amount of rennet, a milk coagulating enzyme that favours an acidic environment in order to coagulate milk. So you reduce it by 15 to 25%. For instance, if a recipe calls for 3/4 of a teaspoon of rennet, then use slightly more than half a teaspoon. So that's 3.75 millilitres and lowered to 2.5 millilitres. Conversely, if you use a goat's milk recipe and then substitute it with cow's milk, increase the rennet by 15%. There you go. It also says the goat's milk has finer fat particles than cow's milk, which means the fat remains more or less suspended in the milk rather than rising to the top as in cow's milk. This finer fat is also responsible for the smooth, delicate texture of goat's milk cheeses. It also has different proteins than cow's milk and therefore has different flavours. So there you go. That's what you do when you're using goat's milk and any of my recipes. There you go. Now, if you're using raw milk, of course, and here's a tip for everybody, if you're using raw milk, then you can just about halve the amount of culture, starter culture as well. Because remember, raw milk has viable lactic bacteria already in them, in the raw milk, that hasn't been killed off by pasteurisation. So you could effectively halve the amount of starter culture that I put in all my recipes as well, which are mainly for pasteurised milk, because I can't get my hands on raw milk. So that's the reason why. Okay, Comrade Catastrophe said, from my mead brewing, I already have Star San, which is a food-grade, non-rinse sanitizer solution. Can I use that for sanitizing my cheese equipment? That's fine, right? Yes. Yes, some cheesemakers do use Star San to sanitize their equipment, and I personally can't get my hands on it because it's in the US and they don't ship it here. I haven't seen it in Australia. But yeah, I have seen other cheesemakers use Star San. No problems at all. Alex, hello Alex, says, I love Talagia and it's awesome. Sorry to hear that you got a dud. Yeah, look, it's hard to get it here in Australia. So I'd love to go to Italy and try the right thing. So that would be cool. Titus says, I'll get that book. Indeed, it is a good book. I highly recommend it. In fact, that was the third cheese making book I got. The first one was from Ricky Carroll. This is an earlier edition. This one is Home Cheese Making, which is produced by by Ricky Carroll, who used to run the New England Cheese Making Supply. Only problem with these recipes, and they're great, but they're all in imperial. There's no metric whatsoever in the whole book. And you would think that there would be some metric in there. So I've had to convert every single recipe. Plus, the starter culture amounts in the recipe are the size they sell. So they say use 1 sachet of direct set mesophilic starter culture. And being new to cheese making, I had no idea what a sachet of starter culture was, because here in Australia we've got big packets that are like for 500 litres of milk, and I'm going, well, what the heck? So yeah, anyway, rant over. Tic Tac Toe says, out of curiosity, is lactose needed for cheese to mature or ripen, or can lactose-free milk be used for any cheese? Good question. Now, I do have a couple of lactose-free cheeses on the channel. So there's a quick mozzarella that I made with lactose-free milk called Zymel here in Australia. And I also made a kefili, very similar to the smoky paprika rub one, same recipe. And I used lactose-free milk with that, or you can add lactase to the milk, and that does the same thing. So what it actually does is break lactose into its two component sugars called glucose and galactose, and they do get acidified by lactic bacteria. However, what happens though if you have a long-aged cheese, lactose-free cheese, is it tends to ferment into alcohol, not into lactic acid. So the reason I chose the Caerphilly to make the lactose-free cheese was because it had a short aging time, and I knew that wouldn't happen very much. So when I made one for my daughter who's lactose intolerant, Amy, and you would have seen her in the quick mozzarella video, we made it together, which was a great father and daughter moment. The Caerphilly that we made about a week later, she said it tasted a little winey, if that makes like wine, because it had a little bit of alcohol in it. If you age it for too long, you'll get a different flavour. So there you go. So that's what we've done. Bill says that amazing that after 235 1-hour-long shows, there are still cheese-making questions. Good job answering them all, Gavin. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it, mate. So, yeah, very cool. And, yeah, it is a good statement. What time is it? Oh, it's nearly time to go, ladies and gentlemen. So, there's been some great questions today. We didn't even get... I've got to do a joke. All right, one joke. Now, let me get rid of that. Thank you, Bill. That was really kind of you. All right, out of the 8 jokes that I picked today, what's the funniest? All right, here it is. This is the corniest one. What is the Pope's favourite cheese? Swiss, because it's holy. Oh, goodness me. All right, there you go. There's a joke for you this week. Got carried away. There were so many, so many questions that I forgot about the jokes, but that was cool. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching today. I appreciate you as always. Don't forget, if you've got any cheeses that you made, send them in to that email address that I showed you after the gallery. And yeah, we'll show them in the next show. Remember that there's a Wednesday show. So Wednesday evening my time at 8 p.m. So figure out what that is. I'll be scheduling some more of those after the show. And of course, this Sunday morning show, which I thoroughly enjoy. And just for everybody who haven't seen it, when you do a super chat, the Curd Nerd light goes off. Automatically, by the way. I don't do anything. I'm doing something now because I'm doing it manually. But yeah, when you do the super chat, it triggers the light. And that's very cool. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And we will see you in the next show Wednesday.